All right, let's talk about something that gets almost all of us. How do you look at a really busy, complex scene and describe it, in under a minute without just completely freezing up? We're going to break it down. You know exactly what I'm talking about, right? Someone shows you a picture that's just packed with detail. People, things happening everywhere. They put you on the spot and poof, your mind just goes completely blank. It happens to the best of us, and man, is it frustrating. You can practically hear that clock ticking in your head. The pressure is on, and the words just aren't there. So you end up stumbling, pointing out a couple of random things, and the whole description just kind of falls flat. But what if I told you there's a much, much better way to do this? Because there is. Seriously. People who are great at this don't just have a bigger vocabulary. They have a system. Think of it like a secret formula, a blueprint that lets them take all that visual chaos and, like magic, turn it into a story that's clear, compelling, and super impressive. And this, right here, is that very blueprint. It's a super simple 5-step structure that works every single time. It gives you a clear path to follow, so you're not just guessing what to say next. It makes sure you get all the important points in the right order. So here it is, the whole 5-step journey. Just look at the logic here. We start big picture with a general context. Then, we zoom right into the details in the foreground. After that, we pan out to see the background and the sides. Then, we layer on the feel of the place, the environment, and we wrap it all up with our own final interpretation. It's such a smart way to go from broad to specific. Let's break down each step. Step 1 is your big opening line. You start broad. Just one sentence to say, here's what this place is and here's the vibe I'm getting. Is it a chaotic, bustling market, or maybe a calm, peaceful park? This one sentence immediately gets your listener on the same page and sets the whole stage. Okay, next up, you zoom in on what's closest to you, what's right up front. The foreground is usually where the main event is happening. Who's there? And this is key. What are they doing? Describing the action is what really anchors your whole description and brings it to life. Now that you've established the main action, it's time to widen your view. Look past the main subject. What's going on in the background? What's happening over on the left and right sides? This is the step that adds all that amazing depth and makes the scene feel like a real 3-dimensional world. All right, let's talk atmosphere. This is about all the stuff that isn't a person or an object. The weather, the time of day, the lighting. Is it a bright, sunny afternoon or a gloomy, overcast morning? These details are absolutely crucial for setting the mood. They can change everything about how we see the scene. And finally, the grand finale. This is your chance to be a storyteller. You've gathered all this visual evidence, so what's the story here? What do you think is happening? You finish not with just another fact, but with an idea, a little theory, or an emotional takeaway. This is what separates a simple list from a real interpretation. Okay, so now you've got the blueprint, right? The structure is locked in. But to make your description truly powerful, you need the right ingredients. So let's open up your new vocabulary toolkit. First up, let's talk about verbs. Instead of saying something flat like, people are talking, how about they're chatting with each other? Or maybe they're examining an object instead of just looking at it. Using these stronger, more precise verbs instantly makes the scene feel more alive and dynamic. Next, you need adjectives that really paint a picture. Words like lively, picturesque, or bustling do so much more heavy lifting than just saying it's nice or it's busy. They inject color, feeling, and sensory details that make your description pop. And don't sleep on your structural nouns. Using words like foreground, background, on the sidewalk, or near the fountain is so important. They're like little signposts that guide your listener, showing them exactly where to look in the mental picture you're creating. And for the final touch, the real secret sauce, natural expressions. Dropping in little phrases like, from what I can see, or it looks like they might be, makes the whole thing flow so much better. It shows you're not just reading a list off a page. You're actively thinking and observing. It sounds way more confident and natural. So now we have the 5-step blueprint and we have the vocabulary toolkit. Let's put it all together and see what happens. This is where the magic really comes to life. Check out this before and after. Okay, so look at the left. A totally basic description. There are people in a park. A kid is playing. I mean, it's not wrong, but it's boring, right? It's just a list. Now look at the right. This is what happens when you use the system. See how it follows our structure perfectly? It kicks off with the general context, a lively park on a sunny day. Then it hits the foreground detail, the person reading. Then it pans to the background where a child is playing near a picturesque fountain. And it wraps up with that final interpretation. The atmosphere feels cheerful and relaxing. It's a whole mini-story. And that is the real secret here. The huge difference between those two descriptions isn't just about using fancier words. It's the structure. It's about building a little story. It takes the listener on a guided tour of the scene instead of just randomly pointing at things. That's what makes it so powerful. So there you have it. You now have the exact same framework that the pros use to take a chaotic scene and turn it into a clear, compelling story in 60 seconds flat. The blueprint is officially yours. The tools are right there in your hands. So the only question left is, what stories are you going to tell?